Good morning, everybody. Um, Thank you, Ms. Pravina, for that introduction. I am Dolly Ratnani, and I'm going to be having this talk with you for this topic called the invisible curriculum. Uh, Now, when I say invisible curriculum, when I say teacher, there's something that comes to our mind. The only thing that comes to our mind is lesson plans, uh, you know, academic planning, and a lot of other things. But there is something beyond that a teacher needs to take care of. These are, the hidden messages that we pass on to the students when we are actually, passing the visible curriculum, the lesson plans, and the lessons that we teach every day. So this is going to be a talk on which, I mean, we, it's not that we are not aware of this, but we usually are so absorbed in our visible curriculum, in conducting our visible curriculum, that we, you know, unknowingly just forget about this. So it's this curriculum is beyond a formal syllabi, the textbook contents. So students that the students are continuously absorbing a set of lessons that are just not visible apart from the visible curriculum through our attitudes, through our behaviors, and how we understand the world. That is what we are passing along with the lessons that we are teaching the students. So, this is an implicit sphere of learning. So we call it the invisible curriculum. Now, what does it, uh, you know, what do the student learn from us without us teaching explicitly? Now, explicitly, we are teaching all the lessons that we have been, you know, trying to teach the students. But what is it that we are not teaching them, yet they are explicitly learning from us? So, we are going to talk about the invisible curriculum that encompasses the norms, values, expectations, and social cues transmitted by us through the school structures, through the interactions that we are having, through the peer dynamics that they share when they come to school, and the institutional culture. So, when we are talking about culture, yes, uh, that is that is one thing that we are passing to the students without we teaching them explicitly. So this, it's not formally documented. This curriculum is not formally documented, yet the implication is so significant. It influences the students so much that it influences their sense of identity, the belongingness, motivation, even their social development. So, when we are able to recognize this, we will surely be able to, you know, uh, change our way of not just teaching the lesson, but how we teach the lesson. It is, we are going to teach them as well inclusion, holistic learning. I mean, when we talk about holistic learning, we are surely talking about the invisible curriculum that we are passing to them, and ultimately we are shaping their educational experiences as well. So this is one thing that our students learn explicitly without we teaching them. So what is this invisible curriculum? As I just told you, it encompasses values, expectations, and all that. It's not documented, it's unwritten, it's unofficial. The values, the perspective learned alongside the formal curriculum. So, how do students learn this curriculum? Now, when we teach them a lesson, we give them a test That's how we know. We ask them questions. We ask them to role play. We have different kind of assessment through which we know that we have taught them well, isn't it? But how can we teach this curriculum which is undocumented, unwritten? So some examples through which we can teach this kind of curriculum is through respect, discipline, punctuality. Now, we might forget this, but we are the observatories for the students that we teach. So when we are in front of them, we are just not modeling or teaching the lessons that we are prepared in the class, not just the assessment that we give them, not just the other uh, what do you call this, Mm, PPTs or the activities that we prepare for them. We also are observatory of teaching them respect, discipline, and punctuality. For example, if a teacher is going always late to the class, I can't expect my student to submit their work on time. If I say uh, if I'm talking to a student that is not respectful, someday I am telling that student that someday you have that right to get back to me with that disrespect that I'm getting back to you. I'll give you an example because, you know, this actually happened with not just with a teacher, but also, a higher authority. So there's a student and the parent had come. The student was reported by the higher authority to the parent, and the parent had come for the meeting. So the parent just gave one line which put the authority into question. So the parent said, I have never got a note from the teacher, nor the class teacher has reported, but how is that authority is reporting in discipline? And the student got back to the authority in the same disrespect that the authority was getting back to the student. So invisibly, the authority also gave the student a right, you know, to behave in the manner that the authority was behaving with the student. So this is how, you know, if we don't teach them that explicitly, but then we are passing that kind of behavior. Now, example of gender role and stereotypes. For example, we separate boys line and girls line, right? We separate some difficult tasks for boys and some difficult tasks for girls. So instead, we can mix those and give the tougher roles to both the genders instead of, telling them girls can't do this, boys can't cry, or girls can't do this, taking rounds of the um, ground or anything as such. And then the stereotypes that is, you know, the girls are more disciplined than boys. There are some stereotypes that we share all the time unknowingly with the students. So if we stop doing that, if we start mixing the students along with, you know, giving them equally the jobs that we are expecting from them, so that is a great example that we can show students that, uh, you know, mm, we can remove the difference of the gender role and stereotypes. Now, unknowingly, we also teach them attitudes towards authority. For example, I had a misunderstanding with another teacher, and I go into the class and I start talking about the teacher. The students simply can catch that there is a wedge between us, and they will go around using that wedge between the teachers for their advantage. And they also, we don't know how students think. So the attitudes towards authority also we teach them without, showing them that yes, this is how you should behave. So whenever we are going in front of the students, whoever is an authority, let it be from just a teacher to the next level of authority, whatever the differences between us, whenever we are going in front of the students, we are not just going to display that wedge between any authority that is in the school or any other place for that matter. So that's how we transfer, uh, you know, a kind of disrespect towards the authority to the students, and the students can take advantage of it. How we teach social norms and peer relationships. Sometimes we just forget that, uh, you know, um, we are in the class and we start telling the students only things that they should do, right? Sometimes we forget to tell them what they should not do. The social norms that we are expecting from students from different social conditions, we need to go ahead and teach them how they are, how different situations, how they should behave in different situations. For example, if there is within the class, there is an activity. It can be a peer activity, it can be a group activity. So we should teach them how to respect each other. Though the setting is same, the classroom, the behavior change, the social norm change. How do we behave while on the way when we meet even the teacher that has taught us in the lower grades? That's how we teach them social norms. How we behave with underlings. For example, if I'm teaching in the class and there is a notice that comes to be given to the students, and that is got by the underling, that is the, the school ancillary staff. How I behave with the school ancillary staff, the students are going to absorb that. So we are also going to teach them how to respect underlings, not just the teachers or the authorities in place. Peer relationship, of course, during the activities, during the play, during the, even when they are studying together, of course, we need to display. And it's very easy because we teachers, we keep coming across the students, we keep coming across the authorities also, during our interactions on the school occasions. So when we display that kind of relationship with each other, I'm sure the students are also going to learn that. Okay, one very important, and that which teachers usually don't take care of, is the tone and body language. According to science, the communication is does not just include our words. It includes, I mean, you will be surprised how much percentage of the words that we use is important to the body language and the tone. Out of 100% communication, if I call out 100% communication, the words just play 7% role in my communication. My body language, my tonality, I mean, you will be shocked if I tell you body language constitutes of 55% of our communication, and our tonality uh, constitutes 38% of our communication. So it's just not the words that we are conveying, it's through the tone that we convey, through the body language that we convey, the students are going to absorb. So a same line that can be told in a kind tone, in a kind body language, the same authority that we, if we want to tell that the submission is to be done, the same thing can be told in a very, appeasing tone and a body language that the students are, urged to submit it. Now, for example, if the student has not submitted the work, I cannot just go around and be in a rude tone telling the student that, how, why not, why submission is important. We might go around and tell them what influence or how it will alter the personality if the student is submitting. So there's a very different kind of role that our tone and body language plays when we say to the student, why have you not submitted your work? Or don't you know the date? Instead, we tell them, if you had submitted this, you would have saved your time in, doing other works that you will be getting today. You will also be developing or altering your personality through discipline. So that's how we can use different tone and body language to uh, convey the message that we we don't have to be rude, but we have to be firm that we need to get the work done. So I guess tone and body language are the first, uh, kind of the first things that the student observe in teacher, and they are the best examples through which we can transfer this invisible curriculum that we are talking about today. Moving on. Now, we learned example through which we can convey uh, this invisible curriculum. We're going to look at the sources through which uh, you know we can transfer this invisible curriculum to our student, because there's no formal documentation how we can transfer it. So there is this teacher student interaction. If, like I told the other on the first screen, that how the student got back to the authority with disrespect, each interaction is just not a, what can I say, opportunity for the teacher to transfer the knowledge, but also the seriousness with which that we are expecting the students to absorb that knowledge and use that knowledge. Each class, each interaction that we have with the student is an opportunity, is a source for us to transfer this invisible curriculum. For example, being an English teacher, if you are just transferring the curriculum that has been given to you, I don't think the students are learning exactly what literature does to the student. For example, there is this lesson, the theme Precious Water. I just go to the class, I read the text, I explain it to the students, and I just come out. I mean, I can't expect my students to, understand why water is precious, because I just went into the class, I explained whatever is on the text, and I came out. But if I try to, relate it with the life lessons, I mean, to life example. For example, I asked the students, if you have a tap at home and if you don't have a tap at home, what would be the difference? The student clearly understood there will be no wastage of water. I also gave them example of by asking them, do you know a place where water is not reachable to the by the people's living there? And they gave a good example of, parched areas like Rajasthan. So if I do this life connection with them, they will surely understand why water is precious. So that every interaction that we have students is teaching them how we can use the visible curriculum that we are teaching them. Apart that, there are some interactions that are not related to curriculum. They are casual sometimes. For example, if we are having an activity, the student might have a casual talk with us. Even there, if our interaction is, if a student is asking a question that is not related to subject, we just can't shun the student, telling that it's not related to subject. Even that interaction, I guess the student learns how much knowledgeable the teacher is, how empathetic the teacher is, and how what can be expected from the teacher. So yes, every interaction that we have is a source for us to pass this invisible curriculum. Classroom management. Now, when we might see movies where, the students are of different type. There might be a student who is, very mischievous. There are students who might be quiet. There are students who are very intellectual and asking questions all the time. How we deal with each one of them, how our classroom management is. Are we only silencing them? Are we encouraging questions? Are we quenching their curiosity? Are we dealing with the student who are mischievous in a way that their mischief come down rather than just controlling them? All this is learned by the students. All this is a source through which we are telling students how to behave with the authority or the teachers. Each time we manage, there's different kind of students. We are teaching students how to deal with them. For example, if there is a mischievous child, I just throw that child out of the class and he again misses the class. Every student is taught that this child can be played around or can be, uh, you know, not respected. They will not respect that child if the teacher is just throwing child out of the class. If the teacher is making him understand that this behavior of yours is not helping the classroom, you must do this exercise and try, so just sitting at one place. If you're not able to sit, uh, practice something that allows you to sit. So these are the, you know, suggestions that we can give the student so that the mischief comes down, as well as we are not teaching the other students to, uh, be empathetic towards this mischievous students. Otherwise, they'll just play around with that student if the teacher is just throwing that student out. So yes, a classroom management also is a great source how we transfer this invisible curriculum. School policies and rules, of course, they teach the students, this invisible curriculum. If I say I want you all in full uniform, it means yes, the students should come dressed well, groomed well. The rules of the school that you should be timely to school, submissions should be timely, the code of conduct is a great source of telling the students to model the behavior that we are expecting at school. Now, there's another great source through which the invisible curriculum is passed. The interaction between a teacher to a student, the interaction between teacher to the underlings like the ancillary staff, the interaction of the teacher to the other colleague, the interaction of the teacher with anybody at school or anybody around them which the student is observing, right? So that also creates a lot of influence. Apart this, we see students having peer influence as well. They just act under pressure, maybe. They get influenced. I mean, that influence can be right and wrong, both. So, yes, when we see that kind of influence, we need to guide the students if the influence is good or bad. So, it's just not our interaction with everybody around us. It is also observing students having the peer influence on them. If the influence is good, we encourage them. If we see the influence is not good, we try to try to tell them why it is not good. We just don't shun them by telling, don't do this, don't do that, or don't interact with your peer. So that's how we teach them. It's a great way of teaching them the invisible curriculum and telling them how to behave with their peers as well. The cultural norms. Of course, the cultural norms. A teacher is given a responsibility of, handling, anchoring for an occasion. So we just had Children's Day yesterday. So if the teacher is not able to display that encouragement or childlike anchoring in the uh, on the occasion, that was on Children's Day. There is another formal gathering. For example, there are different occasions at school, right? For example, there is a gathering, school gathering we can take. How the teacher anchors at the school gathering, right? That also creates, you know, a kind of influence on the student. If the teacher was behaving childlike during the children day and teacher behaving a serious tone on the serious gatherings. Another cultural norm is within the class. We have different varieties of students. So they might be from various cultural backgrounds. How the food is to be respected, how the cultural differences in food, how the cultural differences in language, how the cultural differences in anything that is different from what they have been used to, how to respect it. That's how we teach them the cultural norms, creating uh, a kind of environment where they have this acceptance, or we are creating a tolerance. That also is a cultural norm. So various occasions, we can teach them these kind of cultural norms. So these are some of the sources through which this invisible curriculum to be passed through. Okay. Now,
Ma'am, sorry to
how?
interrupt you.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Miss Dolly, sorry to interrupt you. Keeping the time constraint in mind, can we have some time for Q&A session, please?
Sure. I'll just get this done in 5 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. So, what are the positive impacts of this kind of invisible curriculum that we are teaching the students? It develops empathy, teamwork, and collaboration. Of course, it does. It develops respect and tolerance, as I told you, in their cultural norms when we are teaching them. It enhances their social emotional skills. Of course, if the tolerance is there, they are, emotional. Their emotional skills improve. It builds their character. Yes, it does. Because we are modeling the kind of behavior on various occasions that we are expecting from the students. So that's the positive impact that we are going to have of the visible curriculum. Okay, just in case a teacher is not able to model uh, the body language or the tone or anything, it might have negative impacts as well. For example, I told you, if the teacher is reinforcing already the student might be having coming from various cultural background that, women can't do this, men can do that. So if we are not modeling it, it reinforces their stereotypes. It If we are telling that this student is good, this student is bad, sometimes unknowingly we behave with students getting good grades in a different way and student getting less marks in a very different way. So yeah, it's just not about the academics as well as the behavior. So we might show a different kind of behavior. So it also allows them, anyway that child is favorite of the teacher will not allow us. So it also creates inequality and favoritism. It also creates fear, competition and low self-esteem in the students whom we are not taking care of. If we are not differential in our own, what do we call this, instructions, then yes, we are the reasons why fear, competition, and so low self-esteem develops in a child. So it is always good that we model uh, a behavior that does not have any negative impacts, and knowingly, unknowingly, we are not passing these negative impacts. Yeah, role of a teacher, we have to create an awareness among the student about just not about the words that they use, but how they say it and the body language. We are supposed to create an inclusive environment. We have to model respect and fairness, and we also have to encourage critical thinking. Now, how to do that? We have to do a reflective teaching, ask them to reflect on what they are doing every time they do what they do. We have to encourage them through the collaborative activities. Values and ethic discussions, of course, once in a week, students need to have, and also give them voice and choice. That's how we understand how students are modeling the behavior, right? So these are some of the strategies through which we can. Yeah, the key takeaways, invisible curriculum is always present. Unknowingly, knowingly, we are passing them on. Teachers can shape it positively. Of course, teachers can shape it. It's not just as a teacher, as a elderly person, we can shape it positively and create a reflection and awareness. That's the essential takeaway that we have to learn, that, our re- everything that we tell them, they are aware of it. And we should also create a kind of reflection, uh, ask them to reflect on the everything that they do, everything that they speak. So that's how we, you know, create that's very essential actually. So that's the key takeaway from today's. Now, I would pass it on to Pravina ma'am. I'm ready for the Q&A, I guess.
Thank you,
Done.
ma'am. If you can stop sharing the screen.
Yes.
Yes, we can see you, ma'am. Yeah, a couple of questions before we wind up the session. What are some innovative strategies for teaching empathy, resilience, and adaptability in the classroom, ma'am?
Okay, that's a great question, actually. Something that uh, the modern curriculum is lacking is, or maybe the relationships that we are having around these days lacking, is emotional skills. So some of the strategies that we can, teach students, mm, that is in every interaction we can include it. A student, for example, a student is lagging behind in curriculum. So we can empathize with the student and tell him that he can do it. Even in the sports period, if the student is not ready to participate, we can at least make him participate by telling him, that there's nothing that you can't do it. So that's how we try to encourage them. First thing is, you can't learn swimming by just sitting by the pool. You have to get them into the pool so that they learn swimming. So we have to put them in situations where they have this practice. For example, if you want to teach a cultural norm to the student, we include them in the cultural activities. If I want a student to be participating in sports, I should actually encourage them, to go around and participate in sports. Winning, not winning, uh, we can just tell them it's not about the winning or losing. It's about the sportsmanship. So yes, giving them chances, making them participate into different situations. That's how we are not just this emotional well-being, but also a different kind. I mean, all the 21st century skills, that is critical thinking, communication, we are trying to develop. Giving them opportunities, encouraging their participation in these activities. I guess that's how we are going to build in them competitiveness, emotional resilience, and a lot of other 21st century skills.
Right. So, ma'am, each child is unique, and children come with different levels of understanding. And we have these special needs children also. How can the invisible curriculum be adapted for students with special needs or learning differences, ma'am?
Great. So there is this term called differential learning or differential
Mhm.
teaching that we tend to ignore because we're so busy with the uh, we have to complete the portion. I have to teach this much of content in the class. So we forget even in our academics that every child needs different kind of instructions to learn the same curriculum, right? So yes, having knowledge of differential uh, learning and teaching, that's how teachers can start with, differential instructions that they can develop. At least by starting in the curriculum, they will be able to understand the other emotional needs of the children. So our first, uh, you know, task should be how we are practicing differential instructions uh, through our curriculum first, and slowly get it to a place where we are able to, encourage student participation in that. For example, if the student has special need, we are just not telling the student you have a special need, go to this class. We first try to differentiate our own instruction to them, and then create a plan where that child feels included. And after that, if the child automatically actually develops a confidence that he can participate, because we have given them a differential instruction. So when the child actually gets that confidence, he starts thinking, he starts communicating. So yes, first thing, we have to get it in our curriculum, give that confidence to the child, and make them participate. That's how we can get started, at least. And slowly, if we don't see any I mean, if it is not working from us, we need to take help, I mean, from the school, talking it out with the authorities, as well as nowadays, most of the schools, according to the norms, are having this counseling and all. If it is beyond our differential teaching and learning process, then we have to hand over that to a professional who can handle it well. So yes, the first stage is trying, at least from our end, to have that differential instruction that every child needs. First is
Yes.
identification. Yeah.
Right. Last but not the least, ma'am, what message would you like to convey to the school management or the educators and the parent community about the importance of prioritizing this invisible curriculum?
Great. First, with the parents, I would start, because knowingly, unknowingly, our experiences first start from home. So, yes, the parents have to model resilience, parents have to model patience, parents have to model kindness. So, that's how the students or the children get influenced. That's a request to all the parents, actually. So whenever there is a chance to, model kindness, please do that. Whenever there is, uh, chance to uh, teach the student patient, I mean, teach the child patience, have that resilience, show that restraint in you that this can be handled in this situation can be handled in a different way. Yes, that's one way of doing it. Now, coming to school authorities, of course, as I told, it's a great source of teaching invisible curriculum. But when we want to bring a change, it has to come from the authority itself. It can't come from, usually, when we see all over the world, if the change has to come from the lower class, it is a revolution. But when the change comes from the higher authorities, it cascades through the low uh, hierarchy, and then it
It's
gets into it
implementation.
seeps into the students. So yes, all the policies, all the rules, the structure of the um, school, the structure of hierarchy as well. So interaction, the dynamics of interaction, all this is to be, uh, you know, uh, to be modeled by the school. I mean, it starts from the policies. So yes, if we want to bring a change, the authority has to make those policies. Now, coming to our own behavior and the student, the suggestion for the student is whenever we are modeling something, teachers are modeling something. It's not necessary like social media. You just can't go on clicking all the sites that come to you. You use your discretion, right? In the same way, model that discretion by learning from the teachers, from your elders, from the you know there's nothing that you can't learn even from the underlings. For example, even if the students are in the bus and the ancillary staff is asking them to sit down, they just have to understand that she is elder and what she says is to be followed, because you cannot disrespect an elder, whoever it might be. It might be an ancillary staff or the driver of the bus. So yes, that's where it begins, and maybe they can carry forward in each action that they do. So that's how, the parents, the school authorities, as well as the teacher and the students need to model it first.
Thank you so much, ma'am. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. It's the content is very valuable, practical, and your talk has addressed very critical things, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the session, ma'am. So
Thank you.
before we end the session, anything else you want to mention on our platform?
Sure. Because the students, I mean, most of their waking hours with us, it is responsibility of more on teachers than anybody else, to model this invisible curriculum that we are expecting to create a society that expect that this teacher is expected to create. So it's more on teacher's shoulder to carry forward this. So I, being a teacher, I started off as a teacher and now a teacher trainer. So I have grown organically, and I know how much responsibility a teacher has, to carry forward this invisible curriculum. So yes, it's more on the teachers because students spend more of their waking hours with us. So I would, I don't want to burden them, but then yes, we can bring those changes and model it for the students. And I also appreciate the opportunity given to me today. Thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure hosting you on our platform, ma'am. Thank you. I'll end the session now.